From the EPAWA headquarters in South Allentown, Pennsylvania, this is Weather Weeklies, an informative video blog on the ins and outs of weather that affect you most in the EPAWA coverage area. The thoughts and opinions in this video are those of the forecaster alone and may or may not reflect the thoughts of the EPAWA staff as a whole, nor its constituents. Now, without further ado, here is meteorologist Bobby Martrich with Weather Weeklies.
And good Sunday morning to another edition of Weather Weeklies for Sunday, December 10th. And we're going to move right into the long range just like we normally do and discuss what's going on in the week forward, a couple of weeks forward here. We do have the same slightly below average temperature configuration that is expected in the next couple of days. This is the same thing was taken from our Friday public outlook, just in case you're wondering. But we do have a very cold period coming in here beginning on Wednesday, and it's going to go through at least the beginning of the weekend. After that point, we do have a moderation period where we get back to near average, and I think that's been well advertised for a while, not only the cold that we're going to be having this week, but also this moderation period in between. It's going to be a relaxation pattern, not really not a warm pattern. It's going to be more of a gradient type pattern. I'll show you what that means in a moment. And then we go back to at least slightly below average right around Christmas. This might actually be even colder than that. We'll just wait to see how that works out. I'm going to keep it right now, for now, slightly below average. I do think we're going to turn colder from a couple days before Christmas onwards through at least New Year's, and then probably hanging on the first week of January as well. If we look at the long-range model guidance, like the Euro Weeklies are suggesting this goes on for a long time. We get very active, more so than we already have with the snowfall. Now, we had the winter storm yesterday that brought the first measurable snowfall for many areas in our coverage area, except the far northwestern portions of our coverage area out towards State College and Williamsport. You saw nothing, but you will get into some events here. I'm going to flip the script a little bit here as we go in the next week or two, where mostly the interior gets involved with this more so than the coast. So the coast, you got your big storm, very high snow amounts for you for the month of December, which are typically, at least southeast I-95, expected to be much lower than that. But we do have a couple little events coming in here. One's going to be Monday night. We have Monday night and Tuesday listed here, but it's going to be very early Tuesday morning. And then another one is going to come in on later Thursday or Thursday night into early Friday, and that's just this week. We have this pattern where we're in now, where kind of like every 2-3 days you got something that's going to come down the pipeline. But the thing is, it's the first system we had here on Saturday, yesterday. Was a coastal system that was riding along the southern stream. These systems are going to be northern stream systems, and whenever you have northern stream systems, northern stream dominant systems, they're generally weaker, lighter, and much more insignificant in comparison. So we do have December below average temperatures as a whole, and December above average. We probably get this to very high confidence now because we already had one. We predicted this, 2 months in advance that would be above average in December. And some areas are already going to be higher than they normally get in a month, and that's going to be southeast I-95. You don't get that much snow typically in the month of December. If you get it, it's usually later. So above average, we're going to have, and the interior is going to make up for lost time here, we think, over the next couple of weeks. And then January, we're going to start off cold, but I think we moderate at some point, and then we end up with average snowfall. We also take a look at the La Nina pattern of the Pacific. Not really too much change this week, and not notable change here, just plus or minus 0.1 degrees Celsius is not a change. So we're still in an east-based Nina, so nothing's going to change in that regard. I don't want to spend too much time on that in this video because I have other things to talk about, but we do have the La Nina areas are right in here. It's becoming more, it's still east-based, but it's kind of wanting to go a little bit more west, or more basin-wide at least. So we will have to watch how this propagates westward over the next couple of weeks. Our analog years that we did use, they did start propagating west at some point. But what that does, whether it's basin-wide, west-based, east-based, that all has implications on the jet and our sensible weather here locally. So we're going to keep an eye on that. But right now, there's no significant changes that are jumping out at me that's saying, hey, we're going to have a big change here soon. So it's pretty much maintaining right now week to week. Let's get into yesterday's coastal storm now. Very interesting storm. And you got to remember, earlier in the week here, early in the week, it was only supposed to be extreme south New Jersey and Delaware down here, and these areas just getting clipped by maybe an inch or two. That's it. And everywhere else is sniffing cirrus, and that's it. So nothing else was expected at further northwest, and all of a sudden the models caught on to the fact that the southern stream was not quite as fast as originally modeled. So we're putting snow maps out here, our first call snow map out in the TV stations. The National Weather Service, you got crickets from them. Nobody expected anything. So you guys probably thought we were doing something crazy here. But as it turns out, we were just, we caught on to the ideas. Once the model shifted, we went with the shift and realized what was going on. All right, so while the TV stations remain silent, you have to remember the TV stations are generally going to remain silent if the National Weather Service is silent. They kind of jump. National Weather Service office is right down here for Mount Holly. If they're not saying anything, TV stations aren't going to say anything. That's just the way it goes. So we're a private forecast business. We can do what we see best fit for our coverage area, and we felt like this shift was legit, and we went with it. So it worked out. So we end up being the first call on that in that instance. I hear a lot of that people saying that, but the problem is this is the European model. This is the European model for the morning of December 8th, and you can see the European model had the right idea with how far west the western extent line got here. We got snow all the way up to that point. The problem is you had all of this down here modeled to be, this was too much. This was modeled to be too much down here. Okay, and one of the reasons that happened that way is because you had some deformation bands setting up, mesoscale banding that was set up. One was set up here, one was set up here over Philly, and then you had some in between ones yesterday, and that really messed with some of these totals on either side of it, and I'll explain what that did. Here's a look at the radar, and one of those deformation bands that set up earlier in the day. It was set up, and actually you can extend this further than this. It went all the way down just southeast of the Baltimore-Washington area, all the way up through Wilmington and Philadelphia, and into northern New Jersey. So if you're under this band here, you were getting some really heavy snow rates, okay? And then later in the day, we had another one that formed out here somewhere. Where the heck am I here? We had another one that formed out here and then slowly drifted southeast, and you had two at once, and then you had one in the middle form at one time. And once you're in under these bands, you get some very heavy snow. But on the opposite side, think of it like a thunderstorm. Okay, so thunderstorms need the rapidly rising air in order to expand and get going and really fuel it. So it's just bringing in all that air, and it's rapidly rising through the column and allows the thunderstorm to develop. Well, this is the same kind of concept almost. So you get rapidly rising air in this column here. So of course, rapidly rising air leads to precipitation and heavier precipitation. But on the opposite sides of that, you have sinking air. You can see that here. See how the radar's lighter here? You get that lighting of the radar. Now, it wasn't so much over here, but right here you get sinking air, sinking air, sinking air on the opposite side, and that's why you get some areas that were just getting flurries or very, very light snow that were not in that band, that were in close proximity to it. And the same thing happened over here. There was a time period in here that we were getting basically nothing, or just some really light stuff, and then areas maybe just 10, 15 miles to your west were getting smoked with 1 to 2 inch per hour rate. So if you see some of these inflated snow totals up here from Berks County up to the Lehigh Valley, and that area was not expected to get much snow at all. You can see that here. We'll get back to that image. They were expected to get 2 to 4. That's what we had in that area. But if you have one of those bands that just sit over you for hours, you can easily get what they saw. And you saw some 5, 6, 7, even 8 inch snow amounts in some spots. And that's because that band was just sitting over one particular area. But then you don't have to go too far away from it, and then it goes down to 4 or 5 instead of 7 or 8. So that's what happens with that deformation banding. And basically, here's the setup in the atmosphere where there was. Here's our coastal system yesterday. We had another low that's off to the west here. Now, what happens is you have just counterclockwise flow around a low pressure. You have winds coming in from the southeast here. Okay. Around this area low pressure. Around this area low pressure, you have winds veering from the northeast, like this. So it goes like this. Now, in between, let me get rid of this because there's too many colors here, and I didn't draw that correctly. But you have southeastern winds coming in on this side, okay? And you have, around this area low pressure, you have northeasterly winds. All right, there we go. That's a little bit better. Now, in between, you have this little vacuum that's created, and it's basically the way that it's a weakness in the atmosphere is the best way I can explain this. Where the airflows merge, they fan out. Okay, so that creates a weakness right in here. All right, and Mother Nature doesn't really like a vacuum so much. So you get a narrow band of strongly rising air, and that turns into heavy precipitation in that narrow band right there, and that's right in the middle of these two converging winds. And that's because of this setup that we were in yesterday. And we had several of those. We had one here. We had one down here close to Philadelphia and all the way up into Newark, or just northwest of Newark. And they eventually moved east with that system today. But again, under those heavy bands, you can get some really heavy snow. But just outside those bands, you're kind of getting screwed a little bit, and you're getting just lighter flurries. So that's the setup with that. Now the issue I have with yesterday's coastal storm is with the ASOS reports. These are the official reports from our climatology stations. There's a couple of them here. There's one here in Allentown. There's one here in Philadelphia. There's one up here in Newark. There's several in our area here. The ASOS reports, despite reports that are right around the airport yesterday, were extremely low. Okay, and I did mention this to the National Weather Service that these were very low, and I'm not sure what their weather observer does, but this is an opinion blog, so I'm going to give you my opinion. I think it's they really lowballed it yesterday, and this what's very unfortunate is these climatological stations that were reporting 4.1 inches in Philadelphia was not confirmed by the local people local right around the airport in South Philadelphia. They were all having 5-6 inches of snow down there. And then, the airport comes in with 4.1, and people are like, what? What? No. That becomes part of the official record, and that's a problem. That's a problem. Same thing here in Allentown, 4.1 at 7 p.m. There was not 4.1 inches of snow at 7 p.m. We are headquartered in Allentown, and we were right by the airport. I mean, literally a block from the airport, and we had reports of around 6 inches, not 4.1. So they're off. So whatever happens with these observers, that these official observers, either they need to get a better system for that, or take into account other observations that are right within a couple blocks of the airport that have much higher airport readings here in this. So it was a little ridiculous there. A little ridiculous. So these amounts should have been closer to 6 in both locations, and they're both sitting around 4. Now, Allentown did adjust later, and it ended up at 4.9, but that's still too low. Okay, let's get into the systems this week. We have one here coming on Monday night. This is going to be mainly, again, we talked about these fast-moving systems. This is the first one of these, and you can see mainly just the central and northern areas. So maybe in north of I-78, we'll get 1 to 2 inches out of this. All right, south of the area, coating to 1 inch. Down towards Philadelphia, South Jersey, Delaware, you probably get nothing, maybe a few showers, actually rain. Okay, it might be a little bit too warm. See the 35-degree, that blue line, 35-degree line? That's pretty far to the south. So areas that are in the interior probably get the 1 to 2 inches. This is going to be on Monday night. Okay, another little system is going to swing through here on Thursday or Thursday night. Very light system again, very similar to the first one. We'll watch this one because the European model is not too thrilled with this, but we'll keep an eye on it just in case. This might just be a coating to 1 inch, might be nothing in some spots. We'll see. All right, but you're getting a lot of these fast-moving northern stream systems that are come through. There might be another one, actually, as we head toward next weekend also. The upper air pattern right now is going to be very supportive of very cold weather. And so our cold weather is going to stick around for much of this week until we get into a gradient pattern the following week. Remember, we had that warm-up period. Well, it's not really warm, but we are going to get in a gradient pattern where most of the country is going to be above average. And you can see that here. Here's the way your jet's going. Your jet stream's like this, okay? Maybe not that pronounced out in the Atlantic. Went a little bit too far, but something's wrong with my mouse today, so you have to bear with me. All right, so kind of like this, all right? There's your way your jet's going to be. So that creates the whole country. This is all warm here. This is warmer than average also. But we are still cool here in the Northeast, so we're going to stay on that gradient where, it's going to be teetering between slightly above average, between near normal and slightly below average. So we're right here in this area right here during that period, that week period that we talked about. We're gonna have that moderation. So we're not going to get into above average temperatures. We're not going to have a warming trend, and it's going to be this period right here, the 17th to the 23rd. Okay, that's our near average week. So once we get out of that, though, once we get past the end of that, look what happens. Pattern reloads, and this is a couple days before Christmas, and all of this is coming back down southeast. So we're going to be cold over Christmas, straight through New Year's at least, and maybe into the first week of January. So this is all going to reload after that near average week that we had. Once you get past the 23rd, we're going to go back to that. And this is supported by the Madden-Julian Oscillation. We are going into, this is the GFS version of this, but we went through phase 6, which is a cold phase, and now we're starting to see a dive into the circle of death. So that means this is for about a week. Now this week here is, lo and behold, our near average week. Okay? So it matches well. We're going to go into the circle of death. Then we come back, reemerge into phase 6 or 7. Now, things are a little bit different. Look where it's headed, right like this. This goes right through the 23rd of December, going right through the stormy phases, phase 7 and 8. Now, this is a little bit different. So phase 6 is a cold phase, okay? Phase 7 is cold also, but gets a little more active. Phase 8 is cold and stormy. Look where we're headed. All right, so we're going to have I think, a very active period, especially between Christmas and New Year's. And I'm not talking about these little rinky-dink stuff like we're dealing with this week. None of this little stuff. Okay, here is the 15-day snowfall of the GFS ensemble mean, and you can see the whole idea here. Don't pay attention to totals here. This is, the whole idea here is that it's favoring the interior over the next 2 weeks through Christmas. This is the areas that are projected to have the snowfall in the interior locations, not so much the coast this time. But hey, the coast wasn't expected to get anything from this last one, so you never know. Okay, so it doesn't write this area off. But this is going to favor climatologically, and with the models and the pattern going forward, is going to favor snowfall in the interior over the next couple of weeks. If you are not part of the premium forum, which we have for the My Pocket Meteorologist program, or don't have the weather alerts, we just had it for a comprehensive alerts for the last system, and we also have the premium forum that we went into some really long and extensive discussions and model analysis for that storm, and it was started several days in advance leading up to the storm. So if you want all that discussion, all that interaction with our meteorologists, you can ask questions and for specific areas, and we get, obviously, the information in here is you're the first to know the information, and by us discussing it very far in advance, and you know what our thoughts are based on every model run that we're doing analysis for leading up to a storm. So get involved with this. This is a very good program. If you click on the image below this video, it'll take you right to the My Pocket Meteorologist page, where you can sign up for weather alerts, which are the text alerts straight to your phone right before the system hits, and then any updates throughout if you needed, and then also the premium forum. These two can be bundled together too at a discount. So check that out. The very good program. This is part of our private weather services that go along with the My Pocket Meteorologist program. I'm Eastern PA Weather Authority meteorologist Bobby Marchus. That is this edition of Weather Weeklies for Sunday, December 10th. Join us again next week. We'll get a better handle on what's to expect through the holiday week and beyond. Take care.